In today's Sharp Saturday video, where every Saturday we take a look at something sharp, we're going to take a look at a knife which kind of blurs the line between tactical and camp knife, the APOC Wayward Camper. That's what's coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for trustworthy information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name is Brian. Thanks for joining me for another Sharp Saturday here at the mosquito testing grounds at Survival on Purpose Worldwide headquarters. Anyway, the folks from Cass, Iberia were kind enough to send me one of these APOC Wayward Camper knives, and their literature on these knives say it kind of crosses the line, blurs the line between a camp knife and a tactical knife. You can see that by the look of it, but it's a pretty cool knife. It's a pretty good sized knife, and we're going to take a closer look at this in just a minute. But first, as always, a big thank you to the folks at Big Daddy Unlimited for making these Sharp Saturday videos possible, because if you join Big Daddy Unlimited at survivalonpurpose.com/BDU for just 99 cents for your first 30-day membership, check it out. If it makes sense for you, if you think it's going to save you money, and it does save you money and it's a good deal, and you continue to stick around at the regular membership price of $10 a month or 99 bucks a year, then they'll throw me a couple of bucks for introducing you. So if it's good for you, it's good for me, and I like the way that works. So anyway, thanks to the folks at Big Daddy Unlimited. So without further ado, what's up, man? This thing is a screaming balance test, by the way, but let's get down to the old stump top, talk about the specs of this thing, get to doing some of that knife stuff before we get all scientific with it. Okay, here is the APOC Wayward Camper, and like I said, they're calling this a cross between a camping knife and a tactical knife. So it's kind of got a tactical looking, you know, tacty looking feel to it, but it's a pretty big knife, to be honest with you. So let's talk about the specs real quickly. It's 12 5/8 inches overall. Features a 6 5/8 inch blade of 9260 steel with a 5 1/4 inch G10 handle. This knife weighs 14.5 ounces. The blade is a pretty thick blade. At the spine, at the guard, is 6 millimeters thick, and features a MOLLE compatible Kydex nylon hybrid sheath, which I kind of like those kind of sheaths with a nice snap closure there. But it also fits in really good even without the snap retention. And then let's talk about the knife itself real quick before we get to doing some of that knife stuff. It has a pretty good sized choil here, finger choil. You know, I'm sorry, I just don't get that. I know a lot of people do that, and I guess you can choke up like that and do it, but still you take a chance on cutting your finger here on some knives. On this one you don't really, because from about here to about here, it's really not sharp. The edge really doesn't meet. Both sides don't meet until here. It's kind of flat right there. So this grind here doesn't come all the way down. That's because of the thickness of the blade is really thick through here and doesn't start thinning out to about right here. So that's probably for strength, but your cutting edge is about from here to here. So that little part there is not going to do you any good. That little part right there, as far as cutting goes. And then the edges of this choil are kind of sharp, to be honest with you. So they're not going to be comfortable for your finger. That's a really sharp edge there. It's got a really sharp spine on it, which I think is a good thing. But the grind itself is really even. The handle's got that finger groove in there that you may or may not care for. And it's got a nice flare back here, so it can stay in your hands. And what are you doing, Kuma? Here's exploring. And screws that hold the handle scales on. So it's a sandwich style sheath with some brads on it, and a couple of screws here to hold this on here. So you can lash this to MOLLE or whatever. So there's that. And again, so it's almost like a full flat grind. It's not a hollow grind. So it's a pretty solid looking thick spine knife. It should be good at batoning, hopefully chopping, piercing. Well, you know what? Let's just find out. But before we do all that, you know, we got to do the old Redneck sharp test, right? So let's do that. And all right, so I'm trying all the parts of the blade, and no sharp test on this. This one did not shave, so try the other arm just in case. Maybe I'm doing something wrong with my other hand. And no. So Redneck sharp test, not a winner. But let's do something else. Big old thing here. I want to say this is privet. So we're not going to try to chop it in two. We're just going to do a little chopping, let you see how it actually does. So All right, we'll call that one chopped. Honestly, not the greatest chopper in the world. Let's see how well it does on this. Just chopping into this eye. So it didn't really bite really well down in. It doesn't bite down in. It goes in, but it doesn't bite like some knives. I don't know if that's the edge geometry because there's not enough mass here or what, but it just doesn't. It doesn't bite into this wood like I would like to see it bite into it. So let's try see how well it batons. I think it'll baton just fine. Oh yeah, I knew it would. I had no doubts about that because it's a big old thick blade. So let's see how well it does some carving. Now it did not pass the Redneck sharp test, so let's see if it'll pass just a straight up carving some curls test. Okay, first of all I was trying to do it on this part that wasn't sharpened at first. When I get down to the part that's sharpened, it does okay. It's just a little further away from the handle, so it's harder to control for me. Okay, let me give you my take on that. It did not carve as well as I would like, and I think this secondary bevel is maybe just too steep here, or too shallow. In other words, I think the angle is too great on it. It just doesn't. Let me try another tack at it. Let's see if I can use the choil here, right? Choke up on it like this and get a different location and see if it'll carve a little better. The different leverage, and it actually does better that way. A little sluglet right there. So it does a little better there. If I'm choked up here on the choil, and I've got better leverage on it. So because it is a big long. Actually, okay. So yeah, sometimes you have to learn each individual tool, but so it definitely works better like this. But that could be uncomfortable pretty soon because it is kind of sharp there, and still the edge needs some work in my opinion. But okay, let's try something else. I got the old Exotac Fire Rod XL, and this wood is pretty wet out here, but let's see if it'll I'm sure this thing will strike all kinds of parts. This excels. The spine may be as sharp as the edge. Finally. So you see how damp this wood is, because it was getting a lot of good sparks. So, however, having said that, let me grab the old fat wood out of storage here. Let's try that. Let's see how well it scrapes some fat wood. Oh man, would you look at that? Would you just look at it? So, yeah, that's just a little bit there, but let me just show you why I love me some fat wood. There we go. Okay, so that was some of the practical testing of the APOC Wayward camper. I'm gonna have to give this one about a C grade so far. Failed the Redneck sharp test. Didn't do really well on the chopping. It doesn't have a lot of mass up here, and I don't think the edge geometry lends itself to chopping. It just didn't have much bite to it. It did fine on batoning. It's got a thick enough spine, has enough of a wedginess to it. So it batoned okay, and it's big and strong. On the carving, again, it didn't do that great. The edge, I think, needs a little work. When I was able to choke up on it right here, it did give me a little more control, and it seemed to work a little better. But still, that edge geometry, in my opinion, needs a little work. And certainly that could be fixed. It did excellent on scraping a ferro rod or fat wood or anything. And so that's where we're at on the practical testing. But as you know, we're all about the science here at Survival on Purpose. And to that end, we maintain a state-of-the-art, cutting-edge knife testing facility. And one of the industry standard knife tests we like to put all fixed blades through is the aerodynamic balance test on the balance, orientation, and rotation device. So without further ado, we're going to do that. I'm not too sure how this handle is going to interfere maybe with the release, because it's got a lot of sharp angular edges on it. But all we can do is try, right? Do you want to? Or as we say in Georgia, you want to? Okay, not horrible. I had to kind of hold it a little differently, but let's try again. That's what we in the knife testing industry call a whackaroo. Whoop, 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 whoop. Let's try again. A little better. One more time. Whoop, 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 whoop. Well, maybe even one more. Whoop, 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 whoop. Those two stuck, but I wasn't really happy with them. We'll try one more. I like that one better. Okay, well, we're gonna call this one balanced. That's the APOC Wayward Camper fixed blade knife from the folks at APOC Knives. And I think this knife has potential, but like I said, to me, I'm gonna give this one about a C, mainly because of the edge geometry. I think if the edge were a little better out of the factory, and I know, somebody's gonna say, you gotta sharpen a knife, but I like to test them the way they come out, and I've tested a lot of knives that are completely razor sharp out of the box. This one's not, but it does a good job on scraping. It's a very batonable knife. I think it has a lot of potential. This edge, a little work could be perfect. Feels good in your hand, and it's very well balanced. So if you want to check this one out, there'll be a link in the video description. Thanks again to the folks at Cast Iberia for showing me this. And by the way, I've known those guys at Cast Iberia for a long time. You know, we're kind of like YouTube friends, so to speak. So I'm not trying to trash their stuff, but they always ask me to be honest when they send me something. So I'm being honest. This one's about average to me. It's nothing, I can't get all excited about it anyway at this point. So just letting you know, I really appreciate you watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a brand new video every Friday and every Saturday, sometimes random videos throughout the week. If for some reason you're not getting notified and you are subscribed, I'd invite you to go to subscribe to my newsletter at survivalonpurpose.com/subscribe. That way every week I'll send you an email with links to the videos that you might have missed, links to old videos, links to news, offers and deals, and whatever other ramblings I might think of. That's survivalonpurpose.com/subscribe. I really appreciate the support once again. My name's Brian. You are watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.